For me, it's like, why are you guys detaining me? I just, I have my gun on me, but I told I'm a police officer. All you have to do is check my ID.
Welcome to Reasonable Search, where I analyze police interactions. Thank you to my returning subscribers, and if you like this type of content and you're new to the channel, consider supporting the channel by leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing. Today's video is of a former LAPD officer named Bernard Robbins. He is now suing the department stemming from a traffic stop that he was the subject of, and now he believes he was profiled. I'm going to get into his statements and show the lack of accountability for his actions during that stop. The officers that detained Robbins had reasonable suspicion to do so. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
Also known as Slauson Girl. So today we're going to have a conversation about your experience as a former Los Angeles police officer and what led you to quitting the department and subsequently filing a lawsuit. Let's just get into it. You grew up in Los Angeles in South Central, and you were a LAPD officer for 3 years.
Yes.
But you quit. Talk to me about the incident that led up to you quitting the department.
August 2022, I was filming a movie that I'm working on, unrelated to the LAPD. I was on an off day, and we were almost done with the film day. Me and the sound guy, we had left one location, and we had went back to my house. We were about to film 2 scenes at my house. The rest of the crew had got there a little bit before us, and so there was no parking, so we had to park across the street. We arrived to the house maybe about 7:20 p.m. and we were sitting in the car talking, just chopping it up. I think we were talking about filming or something like that. And after about a minute and a half, we finally got up to get out of the car. And as I get up and open my door, I see 3 officers parked right behind us, kind of parallel, getting out of their vehicle. And me being a police officer, I understand, like, okay, they're about to initiate a traffic stop. They were looking at us. They were behind the door, so I didn't see if they had their hands on their guns, but I think that's the protocol usually when you're about to do a traffic stop. So I immediately put my hands up, told them I was a police officer. I had my ID and my firearms on me, which I'm allowed to carry as a police, or I was allowed to carry as a police officer. And so they told me, okay, just get up against the fence. And so I went with protocol. I was a police officer, but at the end of the day, I'm a black man with guns. So I went with protocol, and I got up against the fence. They handcuffed me and my passenger. And the next thing they said, they cuffed me, they took the guns out, and the next thing they said was, okay, we're gonna go into your car. And I told them, no, you guys don't have consent to go into my car. At that point, I didn't do anything wrong throughout the night, but.
When we talk about reasonable suspicion, it's not one factor, but several factors. For example, it's not enough to use high crime area because, of course, people reside in an area that others would say is high crime. I'll remove that factor that the stop was located in South Central. Robbins' own statement that he exited the vehicle at the same time that 3 officers were about to conduct a stop shows that unprovoked flight was a factor. If the officers were out of the car, there most likely were emergency lights activated. Robbins, an officer of 3 years, should know that people exiting the vehicle during a traffic stop, whether walking away or running, is an attempt to separate themselves from the vehicle and possible illegal contraband. Bernard jumping out of the vehicle and saying he's a cop instead of staying in the vehicle and waiting for officers to approach is already suspicious.
For me, it's like, why are you guys detaining me? I just, I have my gun on me, but I told them I'm a police officer. All you have to do is check my ID. And they were just like, oh, we just want to go in the car and make sure you got nothing else in there. And then my passenger, he had a bag that he saw them, he put it back in the car. So they were asking him about his bag. And I told him, just don't talk to them because they told me that they stopped me for tinted windows. If you stop the driver for tinted windows, then you shouldn't even be talking to the passenger. He has nothing. He shouldn't even be detained right now. He hasn't committed any crime. He hasn't been suspected of any crime. So why has he been detained? And they start telling me, oh, you're a police officer. You shouldn't be telling him not to talk to us. And I said, you gave him your name, right? He said, yeah. I said, that's it then. They don't need nothing else from you. Like they wanted to get into, oh, where are you from or this and that. And there's no need for you to talk to them, bro. If they're going to give me a ticket for tinted windows, then we will let that be that.
I think it's fair to mention that Robbins has multiple guns on him. Guns as in more than one, which underscores the fact that this former officer living in South Central carries multiple firearms, most likely due to the high crime area. It also shows that responding officers tend to be more watchful of furtive movements. The passenger throws his bag inside the car. Again, now the actions of Robbins leaving the vehicle and the passenger getting rid of his bag is adding more reasonable suspicion that the passenger is armed. It would cause a reasonable officer to believe that they were possibly casing a victim. Robbins continues to act suspicious by advising the passenger not to answer any questions. The officers stop for tint, but they have articulable suspicion that there is possibly criminal activity afoot, extending the scope of the stop beyond the tint. Due to the furtive movements of the passenger and the unprovoked flight of both Robbins and his passenger, leaving the vehicle, and now we can add high crime area to the list of reasonable suspicion.
After that, I started to ask them, okay, you see my police ID now, why am I still in cuffs? And they went to start saying, we can't verify that you're an officer. People quit and keep badges or make fake badges. He said this happens all the time. I've never heard of anything like that happening in my life. I've been stopped by CHP before as a police officer. I showed him my badge and he said, all right, you're good to go.
How did it make you feel in that moment when they're telling you that they can't verify that you're a police officer?
I felt betrayed. At that moment, I pretty much knew that my time in LAPD was done.
In that moment,
I knew it was done. I started to ask them to just request the sergeants because for me, I wasn't going to allow them to go into my car in any circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were going to do it illegally, we were going to at least have sergeants out there. So after they took about another 15 minutes saying that, then I started to ask them, okay, can we just get some sergeants out here? I understand what this is doing, and this is probably the end of the line for me. With my situation, like even afterwards, it took me about a week and a half to resign. They gave me some time off to kind of try to get over it and think about what had happened. I felt like they wanted me to pretty much I feel like they wanted me to pretty much denounce my community or my association to my community, and I wasn't gonna do it. The guy, they said they found an illegal firearm in his bag. I understand that was against the law. However, he didn't seem like a bad guy to me. He wasn't out trying to commit a crime. He didn't have his gun in the air. He wasn't trying to shoot anybody. We were trying to, film a film project. So I wasn't going to denounce my community or say, oh, he was just a bad guy. And I wasn't going to apologize to them for just being black. I wasn't going to do that. So I decided to resign.
I venture to say that the police report and the body camera footage add a lot more detail to this incident. It's also one thing to be traveling with someone that you don't know has an illegal firearm, and a completely different scenario to be a constitutional advocate for someone that is carrying an illegal firearm. And that's what Robbins was by telling the passenger to not answer any questions. It's my opinion that Robbins' resignation was in lieu of termination or an extended investigation. I posted the original video in the description if you're interested in seeing the hype reporter not ask any pressing questions of Robbins and push a racial profiling agenda. No questions about Robbins' actions and his passengers' actions. No responsibility taken, and the spin is in for the lawsuit. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments in the comments section below.